This massive power plant here in Moss Landing, California, puts out tons and tons of carbon dioxide. Its little neighbor next door, this factory, run by a startup called Calera, takes that carbon dioxide, runs it into that tower right there, mixes it with seawater, and produces this, an aggregate that can be used in streets and sidewalks, really anywhere cement is needed. We're here at Calera to meet with Vinod Khosla, who's one of the company's investors, and Khosla's newest senior advisor, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Where would you get the CO2 from then?
You've told me you're absolutely, I think is the term you use, not a technologist, not a finance guy. Why do we need your expertise to kind of take these kinds of technologies and bring them more broadly into the world?
The key thing is to connect this type of stuff, which is amazing and innovative and exciting, to the public policy space. Because right now, the great challenge people have is that we know we're going to have a lot of coal-fired power stations. And China and India, 3/4 of their power stations, new power stations, will be coal-fired. Everybody in Europe, America, across the world, is putting enormous effort into carbon sequestration. If this works, this actually solves that problem. And so the important thing is to connect the priorities of public policy with the innovation and the ventures that are going to create the possibility of meeting those public policy priorities.
Now, how do markets fit into kind of that dynamic?
The only solution is really market-based and technology-based. You are never going to persuade people to give up the motor car, to stop consuming, but you can persuade people to consume differently if the technological solutions are available. And the market is the best place to choose those technological solutions. So government can create the framework, it can by policy encourage the right environment for the development of the technological solutions, but it shouldn't try and do them. People like these guys should do them. Now, the fascinating thing is, we're here at one very interesting plant, but I bet you there's another 3 or 4 types of ideas of a similar sort going on in the world today. And the thing is, there needs to be a linking up of these people here in California doing this extraordinary adventure with what then is discussed in Copenhagen and elsewhere by the global leaders.
I'm just wondering why it's necessary to have a guy like Mr. Blair, team up with a technologist like you.
Well, for example, innovation has a huge impact on what's feasible policy and what's not. The biggest issue in policy discussions is always about the cost of policy. Innovation significantly impacts that. Innovation informs policymakers, and Tony does a very good job of accessing them, explaining them. And he's very curious and interested in these innovations to the extent they have an impact both on policy as well as politics and geopolitics. I'm relatively naive about China. He's very sophisticated about China.